Okay, this is the introduction video for 121, fall 2020. It's also going to be the introduction video for 120, math for liberal arts majors, and eventually 055, algebraic literacy. And the reason for that is the format is very, very similar. The syllabi are going to be a little bit different, and we're going to go over that on day one, but format is almost exactly the same, so it seems almost silly to record 3 videos. This is what the homepage should look like for 121 or 120 or 055. You might be in lab class as well, but since it all kind of spills into the main course, 121 or 120, that's what the focus of this video is going to be. So this is me if you want to read through it. I don't have my webcam open because I'm recording this on a Saturday afternoon and my hair is a little bit crazy. But when we're doing live meetings, I'll have my video camera open so you'll be able to see me. Kind of to summarize that paragraph, I've taught for a while, but I kind of started teaching middle school. I was a para there actually, and then I taught high school. And then I've hopped from Red Rocks to CCD, and then I also now teach at CU Denver, and I'm a PhD student at CU Denver. So it might get busy at times, but I'm very good at staying on top of my email. So that's the best way to contact me. You can use the D2L mailing function if you want to, but that doesn't really, I don't check that as often, and it doesn't give me notifications for that. I don't, all right, there it is. So that's the best way to reach me, is this email. Okay, and honestly, if you don't want to get bogged down with this video, or you're having trouble focusing, all of the key points that I'm going to say in this video will be in that first announcement. And so maybe the most important thing, since it's right in front of us, is this Zoom link. So you click on this Zoom link, and that's going to take us into the class meetings. We'll have class meetings during our regular class times for the 121 course and the 120 course. For the lab classes, check the announcements and I'll kind of explain how that works. But how the class Zooms are going to work is we're going to kind of do a flipped classroom type of thing. I have videos posted for every section. I post them at the beginning of the week, and then you'll watch, let's say I post 2 videos that week. You watch the first one before our regular class time, and then when we meet, we will go over practice problems and work through it together. So I might put you guys into separate groups, kind of hop around, check on you guys, probably bring everyone together so I can work through 1 or 2, and then repeat that process. And I'm not expecting this to take the entire class period, the entire hour and 15 minutes, because assuming you are on top of the videos, you are spending time watching those videos and kind of taking notes. So it'll be closer to the maybe hour and a half if it's a long class, or maybe on the shorter end, we might have a couple of classes for an hour. So I wouldn't say you have to be dreading and thinking you're going to go in for 2 hours every time, but I also wouldn't expect to kind of say, oh, I'm going to plan something an hour into the course and just hope you finish in time. At least give me that hour and a half in case we need to cover a lot of material. And so Zoom, if you haven't used it before, it's fairly intuitive. You can use it on your phone, you can use it on your laptop, you can use it on your iPad. There is a video function. I would like that video function to be on if that's possible for you. There's also a voice function. I definitely would need that on if you're working through problems with me or other people. And then just respectfully, if we're in a large group and I'm lecturing or going through a problem, just mute yourself so that you're not talking over me. Of course, I can kind of just do that on my own. Okay, in 121, there is homework. That's WebWorks, so this does not apply to 120, nor this little part of the video. But there's WebWorks. You can click on that. I posted a video in 121 for how to use WebWorks, and then I'll post a video for 120 on how to do that homework. You're going to use my math lab if you've heard of that before. Okay, important things here on the tab. The biggest thing is content. Content is where I'm going to post all of the videos, all of the homework, the syllabus, the textbook. You don't have to buy the textbook. It's open resource. So that's all there and good to go. Unless you want a hard copy, there's hard copy versions for the book in both of your separate classes. But if you don't need hard copy versions, don't go ahead and spend the extra money on a textbook. So that's all here. And There's a bunch of additional resources and policies if you want to read through that. That is helpful, but what you're going to be going to most often is these week 1 videos and assignments. So this is what I was talking about. When I open at the beginning of the week, I will post videos, maybe 2, maybe 3. Watch the video, take some notes. If you want to, you can look at the assignment ahead of time too. That's mislabeled, that should be 3.4. You can look at that ahead of time, but what we're going to do is we're going to, during our regular class times, work through this assignment together. So I wouldn't recommend sprinting through it and trying to get everything correct while you're watching the video, but it doesn't hurt to kind of have that in front of you and maybe poke at one problem or two to try and see if you're grasping the concepts. And so while we're working in class, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be writing it down on your own. I mean, you're going to be working in groups, but your work should be your own. So you will jot down your work, your problems that you've done, and then once you're done, you need to scan it in or take a picture, but you need to submit it as a single PDF. And so where you would submit things is in the assignment section. So in the assignment section, I should have, maybe I only have 2 weeks ahead of time, but I'll have all of the assignments that you can go through and submit, and you would just click, let's say we are done with the class period, you're done with section 2.4, you scanned it in, made it a PDF for me, you click on the submissions, and then, I mean, it's showing that I can look at your submissions, but you just would submit it in this tab. So that's what regular class period looks like. It's that flipped class where we're kind of doing homework. I mean, it's in-class assignments. We're doing those, we're submitting them, and we're putting them in the assignment section. Something that's worth mentioning is that when we are doing these in-class assignments, the pacing's going to be a little bit tricky. So I'm not going to grade these so much on everything has to be entirely accurate or you have to have 100% of the worksheet done. It's going to be much more of a completion type of thing of, okay, you were working the entire time and you got 90% of the problems and maybe you missed 10 of them or something like that. That's not really important. What's important is that you're engaging with other people, you're asking me questions, you're asking your peers questions, and then you're submitting the assignment. So don't panic, especially on day 1, if you're not able to complete the whole assignment. I would rarely expect that to happen for people in this course. More just make sure that you're putting in that effort during class, and then you're submitting all of these assignments on time. And so as a clarification, I say it's a flipped classroom, and I say this is homework. It's not. This is the in-class assignments. These will be submitted every time we have one of our flipped classrooms, our meetings, maybe ideally 30 minutes after tops, just to get them out there. And then there is still that online homework, the WebWorks or My Math Lab. So make sure you're staying on top of both of those things. Now, if that wasn't enough, what we also have is discussions. So we have a discussion board, and how discussion boards work, I again have the explanation kind of here. So the first thing I want you guys to do would be the introduction. That's kind of the classic discussion board of just people getting to know each other, what their major is, their favorite TV show, and then can kind of respond and maybe build a little bit of a classroom culture. And then outside of that introduction, what the regular weekly discussion boards will look like is you have 2 options. So each discussion board, you need to make 1 post, and you can either take a problem that we did in class and very carefully write up a very nice solution and post it, or type up a solution if you want to and post it, or a homework problem. You can do something from WebWorks or My Math Lab, again, very carefully work it out, type it up, or submit a photo of that. And then your other option would be is that once we have a couple of those posts, you could respond to someone, but it's not enough to respond and just say, oh, great work, or, oh, that was awesome. It has to be something like, oh, that's great. I see maybe a kind of small error in the 3rd step, but everything else works. Or, oh, it's a very well worked out solution. I did something a little bit different, and maybe I'm getting a different answer, or we're getting the same answer and I don't know if it's okay. And I'll kind of be poking around these discussion boards occasionally and saying, oh no, you guys are doing great, or here's a little bit of correction. So I'll do my best to stay on top of that. As I said, I'm doing a lot of courses with a lot of discussions boards, so I won't be able to check that every 10 minutes or something, but I'll definitely check every discussion board at least 1 or 2 times per week. And finally, we don't need quizzes. We don't need a whole lot of extras. We do have grades. This is where kind of the end all be all of what your final grade will be. I won't click it because it's going to show everybody's name in the course. I'm pretty sure that's not super legal. But that is where you should be kind of checking and updating. So if you're doing WebWorks and you're doing My Math Lab, that thing has its own separate gradebook on that website. That is not your final grade. This is where your final grade is going to be posted. So make sure you're checking that regularly. I'm a human being, so I make errors. So if there is something off, and let's say you got a 10 out of 10 on the homework and I give you an 8 out of 10, it's very easy for me to fix it. Just shoot me an email. I'll get on top of it. Don't feel bad. Like I said, I'm human. I do it all the time. I'm going to make mistakes, but make sure you're staying on top of that, because at the end of the semester, when I'm submitting grades, I'm going to be referencing this grade tab, and that's going to be what decides it. So don't say, oh, my math lab said I had 100% in the class. Well, you have 100% on homework, and homework's not the entirety of your grade. And we'll go through like the very specifics of your grade when we talk through the syllabi of your different courses, but that part gets very different. So I didn't want to kind of make that an entire single introduction video. I think that's it. I'm looking forward to a good semester. Again, don't hesitate to ever reach out. Don't hesitate to come to my office hours. I'll be there frequently. If you're in your, I'll always be at my office hours. If you need extra help, though, you can ask for additional appointments. That'll work. If you're in the lab class, you can ask for appointments during lab class. Those are all options. We're going to do our best to succeed in this course. It's going to be a learning curve because this is going to be a very different semester than anything we've seen. But we're going to get through it. We're going to have a good course. We're going to learn a lot of things, and I look forward to it.